All right, and welcome, my friends, to the next episode here of the Red Delta Project podcast. I'm your host, as always, Matt Schifferly, and I've got a special guest on today. This is William Mulvaney coming on in. William has got a great story to share with us because when it comes to changing anything in our life, especially physical changes, it's often kind of swept under the rug that a lot of times these superficial changes that we want to see happen, whether it's losing a bit of body fat or building muscle or even just getting out of debt, requires a personal transformation to some degree. And William certainly has made that happen. So I wanted him to come on and share his story on how that happened for him. And we can learn a few lessons about personal transformation from within and hopefully glean a few things that you can apply in your own life. So, William, without further ado, welcome to the Red Delta Project podcast, my friend.
Thank you, Matt. I appreciate you having me on today.
Very good. So, catch us up to speed here. What are the actual biggest changes, particularly in health and fitness, that you've gone through over the past recent journeys that you've been on?
Yeah, sure. Let me go into that. So I am 25 years old. I didn't really get a solid fitness regimen going until I was in college. So in high school, I would watch YouTube videos, and I would watch Athlete X and other channels like that where I would learn about lifting and things like that. And so I was kind of building up a knowledge base, but I was never able to just go and just stick with something. I would have a phase where I would go to the gym for a month, or I would go running for 2 months where I would go running consistently, but I never could quite dial it in. And so because of that, I was never very confident in my body, in my my, let's just say physicality. I didn't feel like I was a very capable person. I wasn't impressed with myself in that regard. And that changed when I went to college. And the biggest catalyst for that change was that I had a friend, and I just had met him, and he was like, "Hey, I'm trying to put on muscle." He was super skinny. He came to college 130 pounds, 6 feet tall.
Oh, wow.
And he was like, "I'm trying to put on muscle. Will you be my gym buddy?"
Yeah.
And so we were just gym buddies, and we would just go to the gym, and I would still watch the YouTube videos. He would watch YouTube videos. We would connect on that level of hey, I got this new thing to try today at the gym. And so it became a fun thing for us, a fun way for us to connect. And that's how we became friends, was we just worked out together. So that was the initial way that I really got into fitness and developed a base. And then from there, it was just once I saw results, it became a lot easier. And that's something I try and tell people is you just have to get through that initial maybe 3-month phase where results are slow. Your body still doesn't know, emotionally, you don't know that if I do these workouts, I'm going to get stronger, or I'm going to look different. I'm going to lose fat. You don't know that yet because you've never actually seen it happen to you. Maybe you've watched videos and in your brain, cognitively, you know this will happen, but your body emotionally does not understand that yet because it's literally just never happened to you. So getting through that initial phase is hands down the most important part, I think, of my fitness journey.
I think there's a lot to be said for building up that momentum. It's almost like you have to just keep getting the work in almost a little bit on faith, if you will, that it's this is going to go somewhere. Something's going to happen if I just keep doing this to some degree. And it can be really frustrating, especially when you don't feel like you're making those initial gains, because sometimes people will ask me, it's I've been doing this for 6 weeks. Shouldn't I be noticing some big changes yet? And the answer often is, well, not necessarily. Sometimes that happens, but not necessarily. So what did you do to just kind of keep things going? Obviously, you had a gym partner and they were helping you stay accountable. But for your own personal motivation, what were you doing to just kind of keep the ball rolling?
Yeah, I mean, I think the one thing is take any win you can. I have this memory dialed into my memory when I'm in my college dorm room and I'm looking at the mirror and I have my shirt off, and I just noticed a part of my chest just looked a little bit different. It wasn't it was I had huge pecs or I was shredded or anything, but it just was a little bit different. Yep. And I was oh, that's what happens. If I work out, my body will change, even if it's this subtle little difference. So taking like the smallest wins, noticing like when you're lifting more, like if your focus is weightlifting and you bench press, and then the next week you bench press and you can do like 5 more pounds, like notice every win that you can and just like fine tune those things.
That's a pretty good, because I think a lot of times I don't know, not a knee-jerk reaction, but sometimes when people will make some degree of progress, there's this tendency to downplay it. Like someone loses a little bit of body fat, or they get those 5 pounds on the bench press, and like, all right, great. And I'm coaching folks, and I'm like, yeah, all right, you went from 10 push-ups to 12 push-ups, congratulations. And they're like, yeah, but I want to be this super badass who can just blast out 1,000 push-ups before breakfast. And they discredit or they downplay those small wins. And it feels like, well, if you downplay the small wins, then the medium wins aren't going to matter. So it's almost like, well, there's no point in even trying unless I can win big every time, which of course isn't going to happen. So did you have to change your mindset a little bit towards appreciating those small wins, or did it come naturally for you?
Yeah, I mean, there's a mix. And I think I know what you're talking about. There was one time, this is, again, my freshman year of college. There's this one like super big guy. I think he was also a freshman, and he like came into the gym. He's like super muscular, and he goes to the bench press with his buddy. And I watched them like load it up. And I think he puts on like 3 plates, which for me was like, whoa, that's crazy. Mm-hmm. And he reps it like 8 times, and then he can't do any more. And I remember him putting the bar back and then just like visibly getting angry at himself. Like he was so upset that he only did 8 reps.
Yeah.
And I was like so impressed with him. I was like, that's crazy. I can't believe you just did 315 pounds for 8 reps. So I think that's kind of just an example of like, no matter where you're at, that is more of a mindset thing rather than like that will never go away. If you're constantly comparing yourself or worried about, how well you're doing and not taking those small wins, you can keep getting better and you'll never be happy. You'll always be like, oh, I'm not doing as good as I could be.
Yeah. And then it begs the question. It's like, well, if you're never going to be happy with any degree of progress, why are you even doing this?
Right.
Because if your goalpost is always moving further on the horizon, then you're never going to be happy. So why are you doing this for? What are you doing it for? You have to have something that is attainable for at least an emotional benefit, even in the short term, if you can. Mm-hmm. And a lot of it does come from like this orientation of gratitude. Yeah, some people, they could have everything in the world and they'd still be unhappy with themselves. But other people are like, all right, yeah, got 2 more push-ups. Woo! Yay, yeah. Me kind of thing. And it's not an objective thing to be happy or grumpy about. It's completely about mindset, isn't it?
Yeah, 100%. Mm-hmm. So yeah. For me, I think, yeah, I mean, initially those small wins would make a big difference and I think that was because I was so obsessively like watching YouTube videos about this, and like I kind of had it built into my mind that like, oh, this happens to other people, but it doesn't happen to me. And so then when I saw any change happen, it was like so exciting because it was like, oh, I'm like this can happen to me too. It's just like the YouTuber I watch or whatever it is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when you see a bit of their success in you, or you're emulating that a little bit, it's really exciting to feel like, hey, I'm kind of becoming part of the club here a little bit.
Exactly.
Yeah. That can really help you feel like you are capable. Did you find that it was really boosting up like your self-confidence in yourself to go and make things happen?
Yes, 100%. I think that's probably the biggest like change that's come from pursuing physical fitness is like a stronger belief in myself, not just in like, okay, now I can go to the gym and I feel confident because I know what to do there. I feel comfortable in my body, things like that, but also in other pursuits. It's like I can like go into something with this not really knowing whether or not I can do it because I've never done it before, but I have this thing that happened in the past where I didn't believe I could get into good shape and I did that. And so it's like, that's behind me, pushing me at all times. Like you can do stuff. You like, even if you haven't done it before, if you follow the steps, you can do other things.
Yep. Yep, it's like the wind is at your back to a degree, and you can use the lessons. And this is what happens to a lot of people with fitness is they lose a little weight or they build some muscle and strength, and then suddenly it's like, oh, my grades are improving, and suddenly I'm being more assertive with superiors at work and more confident in social situations. It's just the snowball effect. But the downside is it can also go the other way around, which can be undermined again if you're not taking appreciation of your small wins and what you're accomplishing, then it's feeding things in the opposite direction. Isn't that right?
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
All right. So you're making these small wins. You're getting a little bit and it, like you said, it was like a 3 month journey just to get to that point. And one of the things, I mean, how long have you been doing this sort of thing? How long has the journey been on right now?
Uh, like 7 years.
7 years. Okay, so let me ask you a question: is when you were in the thick of it for like the first 2 months, at the end of those first 2 months, did you feel like you were working out and doing things for a very long time? Like, oh my goodness, I've been at this forever. Shouldn't I be seeing better results?
In some ways, yeah, I
Yeah.
did. It did feel like, oh, I go to the gym so much. Like I had this feeling that like, oh yeah, this is this like part of me now, even though it's
Hmm.
only been 2 months.
Yeah. So now after 7 years, you look back on that and you're like, dude, after 2 months, that was just like barely getting
Yeah,
started.
yeah. That was like so early on. That was like 12:30 on the clock.
Yeah, exactly. It's a weird thing about our time perception, and that's, I think, where a lot of people get frustrated is that they're pursuing something and those first few months feel like, oh man, I've been at it forever. It's been 3 months or 6 months or even a solid year. You're like, oh, I've been at it for so long. Shouldn't I be seeing greater results? But then in the long run, you look back on those first 6 months, and you're like, oh man, I was barely getting warmed up. I was
Hmm.
barely getting started because in context, that 6 months initially felt like an eternity. That was my entire fitness career. But then looking back, it's like, yeah, but now it's this tiny little part of my fitness career. So of course
Yeah.
it wasn't like a huge big thing that I wasn't going to transform my body overnight. Is that kind of a perspective that you've had over with a longer training career?
Yeah, I think that recognizing like it's a long game, and
Hmm.
I think there's a bright side of that too, because I know hearing that as a complete beginner, it could be a little depressing to be like, oh, like I have to do this for years and years. But here's the thing: this pursuing fitness pays dividends over a lifetime. So you start working out now, and you're not going to fix everything in 2 months. You're not going to have like your perfect body or your like maximum strength, but you're going to start to feel a little bit better.
Hmm.
And all the work you do now is going to compound, and you're going to keep adding on to that, and you're going to feel better and better throughout. And that lasts a lifetime if you continue on the journey. So
Yeah.
I think it's something that like when we start something, we want that immediate gratification. We want something to happen quickly and drastically. But the truth is, it won't be that way. It won't be drastic and it won't be quick, but it's more of like a long, slow drip of benefit that just
Yeah.
like continues to pay off over time.
Hmm. I like this idea that you mentioned about compounding. Like, do you notice that in your own workouts, like you've built up skill, you've built up strength and coordination and discipline and mindset. So now when you go to the gym, it's like, well, the workout that I'm doing today is more effective than the workout I did 7 years ago
Mm,
because I've got more I'm bringing to the table versus even though the effort's about the same, but you just are better at training. So the workouts are more effective now just through the course of practice and time.
yeah, totally. I think the best example I have, at least in my own um, experience, is like the mind muscle connection is what some people call it, but just like the ability to like contract certain muscles, specific muscles, is
Hmm.
something that is like really difficult for people who have never worked out before. I used to struggle with that. And
Hmm.
I've worked out with friends who don't work out, and I'm like trying to teach them a certain movement, but they just can't get the right muscles to engage. And
Yep.
like at least for like hypertrophy and I guess some strength training as well, like that's the name of the game is like just getting the right muscles, and also in terms of like avoiding injury, things like that. um,
Absolutely.
having a lot more bodily awareness and ability to use my body.
Yeah, it's easy to dismiss the idea that, well, you just use your body. You just go and you lift the weight and you just push the lever and run on the treadmill, and the equipment will make your body do what it's supposed to do. Or even if you have like quote right technique, like your body's going to do what it's supposed to do. And I've certainly learned the hard way that's not at all going to be the case in most instances, because I've done things in my past. It's like, oh, wait a minute. I need to be able to use the muscle better, which is a skill. And it's one of those things that I've learned is it's like breathing and body language and how we speak. It's something that we can consciously control, but most of the time we're just running off of whatever subconscious autopilot programming we have. And if that's insufficient to really get the job done, then you're just endlessly working off pretty weak programming, if you will.
Right.
And it doesn't improve until you try to improve it, which is why you can work out for literally years and years and years and still struggle with it to a large degree. And so as you're getting better at this sort of thing, do you notice like some stubborn areas of your body are like building muscle better and getting stronger?
Yeah. So I had one period a couple months ago that stands out to me, because I had been working out in more of like a maintenance phase for a while, where I was working out, 4 or 5 times a week for like 30 minutes a day, just kind of basic lifts, nothing crazy. And then I went on a little spurt where I was like really focusing and really dialing in like the time under tension and things like that, and just doing like slow movements, and just like every set was going to like failure. And doing that for like a month, I noticed like significant changes. So, but I also like, that's not the kind of thing you would just know if you were just starting out, is that like, oh, if I do this thing for a month, I can build a lot of muscle if I really focus on the that slow time under tension and going to failure. Like it's not intuitive. It's not something you would just know going.
Right. Yeah. I think some people, and this is the thing that really kind of makes or breaks a lot of people, is again, it's like subconscious autopilot. Like I've worked with some folks and they just have a natural affinity for that kind of training. And they're like, yeah, well, it's just how I've trained. I've just always just make sure the muscles turned on and pushing closer near failure and full control and not rushing to like, what, this is no big deal. This is how you train. Nobody. And then for someone else coming to the like, what is this, witchcraft that you speak of what do you mean mind muscle connection, and aren't I supposed to bang out push-ups as quickly and as sloppily as I possibly can? And it just goes to show just how much, like, you can have 100 people in the same gym doing the same exercises with the same equipment, and yet the difference from one person working out to the next person working out can be absolutely night and day, based on their mindset and their skill set and just what experience they're bringing to the weights and bringing to the workout programs. And it's certainly not the same thing, even though it's like, well, yeah, they're both doing bicep curls. That's the same thing, isn't it? It's like, no, not even close to the same thing.
Yeah, I think sorry to cut you off. I think I naturally fall under the second category of like, just get it done. Like I would never naturally think of like, oh, I got to squeeze the muscle. I got to make sure I'm hitting it right. It would be more of just like, get the number of reps in that I need to get done. And like, that's all that counts.
Yep. Check off the box, off the to-do list. Okay. Off to the next thing kind of deal. Now, did you find that you were overcoming some personal, like inner weaknesses or mindset shifts along your journey here? Were there some, because the strength is like developed from the inside out. Were you confronting old perceptions of yourself or the way that you thought you were as a person as you transformed during this process?
Yeah, it's kind of silly, but definitely there was at least for the initial like 2 or 3 years of my like let's call it fitness journey, the time when I first actually started lifting weights and working out consistently. It was all because in high school I was, well, let's say middle school to high school, I was in a friend group with all these like everybody was just like skinny, all the guys. And I was never like a fat kid, but I was just like skinny fat. Like I had like a layer of fat over my stomach. I wasn't muscular. And
Mhm.
so I was just like fat in my group. Like that would be called fat and people would make fun of me for it. And so that insecurity and that like, yeah, I don't know what else, like those demons from that experience totally fueled me for like the first 2 to 3 years, maybe even still subconsciously, but
Yeah.
I'm not consciously thinking about that anymore.
Hmm. Yeah. So you were kind of a bit of a product of the people you were associated with then.
Yeah. I mean, it was the people, yeah, it was from high school. Like it was like I went to college and in my head I'm like, I'll show them. Like I'll come back and I'll be like
Ah,
shredded and all like better. And it was kind of like spiteful energy. It wasn't like maybe not the healthiest, but you start and you use what energy you can get,
yeah, I've been there myself, and there's always that dream of like emerging, from the cave as a savage, jacked warrior kind of thing, and people are like, "Who is that?" And it is a very satisfying thing. I've had several instances in my own life where I've made that sort of change happen,
Hmm.
and it feels good. It feels real good to make that happen.
Yeah, it is cool to see people in one phase and then like come back, a couple months later and they haven't seen you and they're like, oh shit, like you
Yeah.
made some big changes here.
Hmm. Hmm.
Definitely.
Personal transformation is not easy, but it certainly can be very satisfying and very gratifying. And one of the things I think that is important to understand is that we often get enticed by the superficial results of change. Like, oh, they're making a lot more money and they got a high status job, or they drive a much nicer car, and now they're in much better shape and stuff. We see those things and we're like, that's the thing I want. But time after time, I've learned from people who've achieved some degree of success in anything, and they're like, yeah, that stuff is great, but the real value is the way that you develop as a person at the
Hmm.
end of it. It's not about, I want to build muscle. Things change when you're like, I want to be the kind of person who builds muscle. It's not, I want to be strong and disciplined. It's like, I want to be the type of person who's strong and disciplined. When you shift more towards personal change of kind of who you are, then the superficial stuff just almost happens automatically. It's
Right.
like, well, yeah, of course that's going to happen because I'm that kind of person now. Do you find, like, in your own journey and people you've associated with, that folks who fail to make those personal changes, it's like they're always just running uphill trying to make
Mm.
those changes happen because their old self is still dragging them back?
Yeah, I've definitely seen that with some people where the change they're constantly seeking like one goal. Like it's like I want to lose weight, and that's the only focus.
Hmm.
Um, and that's a really hard like, yeah, there's not an identity change. It's like, oh, I'm going to do this thing to lose weight and then I'm going to go back to what I was doing before. Like they just want to like this temporary fix. Not they want it to be permanent, but they only want to do it temporarily.
Hmm. Yeah.
So yes, I have seen that where there's like a hesitancy to actually, because a personal change is scary. It's like you got to kind of throw away part of your identity and take on a new part. So
Hmm.
there's a fear behind, okay, I got to let go of how I'm living and accept that things are going to be different now completely. And
Hmm.
this isn't something I'm just trying out for 60 days. Like I'm actually changing the way I live.
Yeah. It's hard, it's scary to make a personal change because to a degree it's kind of like letting an old version of yourself go. It's almost like a caterpillar to butterfly deal where it's like, yeah, the caterpillar can no longer exist in order for the butterfly to take
Hmm.
flight. And I certainly have noticed in my own hesitancy to make changes in my life and stuff, it's like I cling to those past notions of who I was and what my life was like, and I wasn't willing to let things go for a long time, and that really held me back. even though I was like, yeah, but I want these changes to happen. It's like, yeah, but you're still clinging to the past, so to speak. Did you experience much of that, or was it more of like, yep, okay, out with the old, in with the new, let's go?
Mm, yeah, I think honestly for me, I think with the timing of it, there wasn't as much of a clinging to the past identity. There were of course like habits that slowly I had to phase out.
Hmm.
But in that, because it was like I was going to college, I had already kind of like thrown out everything. It was like I'm in a new place with like brand new people. My family is, states away. My friends are gone. They're back in, other colleges or wherever else. So just by the nature of that change, I kind of naturally was already in a place where I was wide open to whatever was coming. And I feel
Hmm.
like my identity just was not that defined because of that.
Yeah, that makes sense. That's interesting. Plus, the other thing too is you were making this change happen, if I recall, in college too, right?
Hmm. Yep.
Now, I don't know about you. Where did you go to college? What did you go to, like
Uh,
a university or
yeah, University of Wisconsin, Madison.
Wisconsin? Okay, yeah.
Mhm.
So I've heard this recommended in psychological circles and social studies circles where people will say if you want to make a significant change or a habit change, do it during a transitory period of your life.
Mhm.
Like if you're at the same job with the same friends and you're doing the same habits and going to the same bars and everything like that, and you're like, I'm going to lose weight, then it's like, well, yeah, but you got a whole life that's still static. But I've noticed that if I move to another city or during college, like every semester, live in a different dorm, associated with new people and stuff, it was a lot easier for me to make change because everything else was already changing. Why the heck not just throw something else in there? Do you feel like that was the case, or was your life pretty static anyway, and you just were able to make the change despite all the consistencies?
Yeah, I think you're 100% right. Like that's probably what made it so hard during high school to actually, why I had these little stints where I would work out and then I would end up just losing it at some point. It's probably because I had the exact same environment, the same cues going on, the same people around me. Like all of
Hmm.
those things were kind of pushing me to just stay how things are going. Don't change things too much.
Hmm.
And so then going to college, it's like, okay, that's all out the window. This is a fresh slate. I get to pick what I'm going to do. And I don't have those environmental cues kind of pushing
Hmm.
me back towards a past version. One other connection on this topic, I notice when I am in new places, either if I move or I'm traveling or whatever it is, I work like much more effectively
Yeah.
rather than
Hmm.
like, because I've been a remote worker for a while. I just quit my job. So I'm like full entrepreneur now. But when I'm working at home, I have all these different environmental cues that can like
Hmm.
pull me out of work mode
Yep.
versus if I'm moving around a lot, if I'm going to a library to work, if I'm going to a co-working space, if I'm going to a coffee shop, if I'm traveling, there isn't that. And I get to just lock right in. So
Yeah.
interesting.
Yeah. It's funny about human nature about, it's easier to change when everything is changing, but at the same time, we need some degree of stability and
Hmm.
a solid footing underneath us to make it easier. So maybe there's like a bit of a balance.
Yep.
Um, that's why sometimes I've learned people say, "Oh yeah, I waited until I went on this vacation before I started making this change because the vacation was the perfect opportunity to make these small habits happen
Hmm.
versus back to the usual thing." Now, as you're moving forward, like you've been at it for 7 years now, what's on the horizon for you? What are you looking for as far as what are you working on? What are the challenges you're now facing that you can still continue to chip away at?
Yeah. So the one right now that I've is a new challenge. I'm running an ultra marathon in December.
Oh,
So
damn.
yeah.
Whoa, that's not easy.
Yeah. So that's my challenge right now. And um, one other like side quest along with that is to not lose too much mass in the process, too much muscle
Mm,
mass. So it's like, how can I, go through an entire training plan? I have to run like so many miles.
mm.
Like it's like 1,100 miles over 4 months. How can I
Whew.
run that many miles without just like destroying my body and losing everything I've worked for.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Keep me up to date on that. I'm curious to
Yeah,
hear what you.
for
I have
sure.
a friend out here in Colorado who did a very similar thing where he was always one of the biggest, most jacked dudes in the gym. I mean, very, very muscular and strong. And then he's like, yeah, I'm going to get into marathon training. And he kept his physique pretty darn dialed in.
Hmm.
He was still muscular and everything. And it's certainly possible to do. It's just not as easy, but that's the way things are in life and fitness. It's like it doesn't mean it's impossible. It can just be more challenging. And
Hmm.
it's certainly it's like you're the kind of guy who likes to step up to a challenge if you're
Yeah.
doing what's the name of the ultra marathon?
It's called the Brazos Bend Ultra. It's in a park near Houston, Texas.
Wow. And how many miles are you hoping to run for this?
This one's 100.
Oh man. I have a hard enough time riding 100 miles.
Yeah.
I mean, hell, on some days it's even hard for me to drive 100 miles with patience. I can't imagine running that far.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's in December?
It's in December.
Wow. Is the weather going to be really cold or is it going to be temperate for you?
Hopefully it will be like 60s ish. That would be
Oh,
my ideal, but we'll see.
okay.
Like,
Very good.
yeah, winter in Texas is kind of all over the place.
Oh, okay. Yes, that's right. Yeah. Yeah, it can be quite crazy. Again, I'm here in Colorado, and one day it can be 20 below, the next day it's 70.
Hmm.
It's all over. And some days you wake up and it's like shoveling 3 feet of snow, and other days you haven't gotten any moisture or precipitation for weeks on end. It's
Yeah.
pretty nuts. Yeah. So, words of wisdom for our dear listeners here on the podcast. You've successfully beaten the odds. You've made significant changes to yourself from the inside out. You've gotten stronger. You've stayed consistent. You are now at the 7 year mark, which puts you in the top something percent, but definitely in the minority when it comes to health and fitness success. What's just one big, huge lesson that you wish that you knew when you started that you want to convey to the listeners?
The thing lately that I've been realizing is how important planning is. And it's going to sound like so simple, but planning and having intention with what I'm doing makes the absolute difference. Like, that's the reason why I'm able to, I've stuck to my training plan for, it's been 4 weeks now of like way more running than I've ever done before. And it's because I literally printed out a training plan that says how many miles I run every single day. During periods where I'm working out and I'm like logging all my workouts, or better yet, I have a plan of what I'm actually doing in the gym. I'm so much more dialed in. I hit my workouts. I'm also much more effective in terms of like the effort I'm putting in is leading to the outputs that I want, rather than I go to the gym and I'm like, okay, what do I feel like doing today? And it's like just a lazy workout. Like those are fine. They're better than nothing, but the planned out intentional workouts, just like that is the absolute key. And it's a lot harder to skip out on. Like if I plan when I'm going to work out, if I put it on my calendar, I'm going to work out at this time, or if I am going to work out with a friend, all those things are forms of intentional planning. So that's my biggest key to success, is make a plan.
I love how you use that word intentional. The past couple of years, I've noticed in my life, it's just crazy how you set your intention. It's not so much goals or anything like that, or manifesting with, law of attraction or anything like that, but just intention. Like, I've had several things happen in my life that were like, boy, the odds are really stacked against this happening. There's a chance, but probably not going to happen. And it's like, well, every day, just the intention is there to make this happen. And it is kind of funny how the universe just kind of gets out of your way sometimes. And it's like, oh, this guy's pretty serious about making this happen. I guess I better make it happen for him, kind of thing. So the thing that I really took up from that, though, is you put it down on paper. You're planning and you're putting it on paper, not just even a digital notebook or anything, but on paper, on a calendar, on your wall. You're planning things out, and that makes it seem more concrete and something that is already happening when you write it down. I've heard
Mhm.
that in cases where people are like, write it down. Don't just scribble it in a note application on your phone, but write it down
Yep.
somewhere. And I swear that really does a lot to set your intention about such things.
Yeah.
So you're still doing that, huh?
Yeah, that's again like how I follow through things the best is writing it down. And I think like this idea of like bringing it from like, yeah, like you said, like doing it on your phone, doing it on the computer is fine. That's like better than nothing, but bringing it into like the physical world where you're literally putting it on a piece of paper, like that
Yep.
just does something differently in our brains that like makes a connection that this has to get done.
Mm-hmm. I have a dry erase board marker in my bathroom,
Mm-hmm.
and I write things on my mirror. So every morning I wake up and it's like, make sure you're still working on this thing or that project or whatever. It's right there, literally staring me in the face every single morning.
I like that. I'm gonna steal that from you. That's
Sure.
I really I have a little whiteboard I use for stuff, and that's also been very effective. But I like the mirror because that's just like you see that every day.
Yeah, you can't get away from it.
Yeah.
You just can't ignore it, and especially if it's like not in your facial reflection, but just below, like chest height
Mm-hmm.
on the mirror, not off to the corner or anything like that. Just boom, right there, and they're like, "Yep, okay." And then it also kind of sometimes it pisses me off because I'm like, "Oh, remember this thing you're working?" I'm like, "I know, I haven't worked on it in like a week. I'll get to it tomorrow," kind of thing. It's like a little nagging reminder
Yeah.
from your previous self. It's like, remember you're doing this thing? I'm like, okay.
Yeah. Sometimes
But
we need
yes,
it.
writing it down is key.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, very good. Well, William, thank you so much for your time and your expertise here. We really appreciate your leading by example and sharing your experience, because that sort of thing is just gold these days. We don't have too many people who successfully can transform their approaches and their body and their mindset the way that you have. So I appreciate your generosity and sharing your lessons with us today.
Yeah. Thank you for having me, Matt. Very, very happy to be here and honored, and very cool to see all the stuff you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So, is there a place where you mentioned a little entrepreneurial stuff? Is this part of what you're working on? Are there a place where people can reach out to you?
Yeah, I have my own podcast. That's probably the best way to keep up. The Willpower Podcast. My name's William Mulvaney.
That's
you can
right.
also find me williammulvaney.com. That's where I keep everything.
Yep. And I do recommend the podcast, folks. I've listened to several episodes myself, of course, and it is very good. It is a lot of takeaways, a lot of meat in those episodes. There's not a lot of fluff. There's not a lot of filler with that. Highly recommend it. Links are going to be down below in the description and everything. And I'll be posting this to the YouTubes and everything as well. So thank you so much, William. I do sincerely appreciate it.
Thank you, Matt.
All right, my friend, I will talk to you in the next episode here of the Red Delta Project podcast. Till then, be fit and live free.